afternoon and welcome everybody to another Kerfuffle showcase, and I am delighted to have estate agency royalty here. We have Stephen Brown in the bottom box, if that's how you're watching it. Ian White in the top box. Sounds like a boxing match here. Feels like I should do a curtsy, gentlemen. It feels this is just, this is what I entered the business for, to be with the big hitters.
Good.
Us too, Simon. Well, I'm certainly privileged to be in your presence as well.
That's lovely.
It's an honour, Simon.
I was going to say your silence said more than real words ever could then. Right, we're here, guys, to talk about agency mentors. I have to put my hands in the air and declare an interest here. I am obviously involved in the business as well. So you will see me being incredibly biased, but most importantly, I was doing this even before I got involved, wasn't I? Been a big fan of agency mentors from previously there. And why would you not be, as we're just about to find out today talking about it? Stephen, I think you've got to pop off in a few minutes, haven't you? But we're going to eke every last bit of the lemon out, as they say, whilst you're with us. We're here to talk today about agency mentors and powerful training that sticks. Who wants to kick us off, guys?
I'll let Ian. I'll let the good-looking one.
So that's bloody hell, Stephen. That's brought into question your judgment straight away.
Okay. When we finished abusing me.
Yeah. Sorry. It's because I love you. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moniker of powerful agent training that sticks is that we were very conscious, myself and Stephen, when we first met up and talked about putting agency mentors together, that a lot of training can have a training can be a tick in a box exercise for many business owners. They're not really focusing on the outcome. They're just focusing on the fact that they got to do it. Yep. Now, obviously, they're better than the ones that don't even want to do it. But a lot of the time, the gain is very short-lived. Turning up for a session, doing a particular topic, etc. It's great. Yes, you'll get a spike in performance. Obviously, some people will take some of those things forward with them for life. But generally speaking, the effects of the training drop off for the masses over time. Yeah. And I think we were very keen to do something a little bit more long-term and a bit more planned and subjective, so that we could measure and provide, consistent and genuine change to people's behaviours and subsequent results.
And I suppose the best example actually was when we did the competition with Repeat on prospecting, and we measured and monitored it. And brilliant. I think it ended up there was about over £400,000 worth of business was generated as a result of that training and that competition that we had.
The sales director of that business must have been so clever and innovative to have teamed up with you at that time.
I wonder what happened to him though.
He just disappeared. Just
If I remember rightly, we had to bypass him to get it going, didn't we?
That's not. Look, that genuinely was, wasn't it? So look, we're all better. Look, the first thing is what I love about you two is there's none of this bitterness or envy about other trainers. I've heard both of you say actually at certain times XYZ trainer would be right for you at the moment. In terms of there. And of course, we're all big fans of Josh Fegan and everything else. But I think one of the big elements why we did that, didn't we? Why we measured that prospecting was, before then it had always been kind of a shout out policy, hadn't it? In terms of tell us your numbers, tell us what you've done. And I think there might have been a little bit of kind of, let's be honest, salespeople overplaying it a little bit. What was brilliant about that exercise at Repeat, and I encourage any of the other CRM companies to get out of there, talk to Stephen and agency mentors about reenacting that, because you can't have a better testimonial for your business than being the prospecting system rather than a boring admin CRM system, was that you were able to track those prospecting calls through and deliver pounds, shillings and pence what it delivered. And that was exceptional, wasn't it?
Yeah, and people want the return on their investment when it comes to training, and that's one course that will definitely give you a return on investment, and it comes down to consistency. Simon, your favorite C word, consistency. So if people continuously prospecting, then they're going to see the results, and ultimately, you want to master prospecting. And agency is very simple. It's about 4 disciplines. So it's about prospecting, listing, negotiating and selling. If you don't prospect, you're not going to have anything to list. If you're lousy at listing, you're not going to have anything to sell. And if you can't sell, God help us all. And then if you're not good at negotiating and you're reducing your fees, Yeah, well, what can I say? But the point is, we offer solutions to prospecting, listing, negotiating, and selling.
Yeah,
That's going to give people return on their investment, and that's why people are in business, and that's why I hope people are in business. And Ian's right.
I've got to disagree with you a little bit there, Stephen. Just to go against it, where was entertainment in that list of disciplines?
You're the entertainment.
Anyone who saw me at Agents Giving would disagree. Anyway, so I think that's brilliant. Can I just touch on one point that really frustrates me still, sort of, but I suppose would, to a large degree, put us out of work if it wasn't the case? Why do agents still need help telling them to do prospecting, given its vital importance? And let's be honest, that the simplicity that underlies it, this is not rocket science, isn't it? So why do you think it is that Josh has had to come over here for the last 10 years and tell us? And obviously you, Stephen, have very successfully anglicised it as well, and really taken it into the other thing. Why is that? Well, have you got any theories about it?
I do. Ian, are you in the go?
Yeah, I mean, I do really. I mean, I think there's one is the obvious that the throughput of people changes. So over time, people come in and they move up to different jobs, and maybe prospecting is less, or they leave the business. But I also think that prospecting is often done badly, and therefore it's fruitless. And if it's fruitless, people don't buy into it because it's no fun and you don't get a reward. So if you follow the processes that Stephen in particularly coaches, it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like you're having conversations with people on a daily basis, and it's not. It's sort of like the hardest form of selling, but the person doesn't really know they're being sold to. Whereas a lot of people's prospecting version is just simply picking up the phone to 1,000 people and saying, "Are you ready to sell?" and hoping to connect with one that says yes. Well, that's boring and mundane. So no matter how much we train people, if that's how they then go and deliver prospecting, their brain is going to say that the effort for the reward doesn't work. They push back with their bosses. Good people are hard to find, so the bosses let them off the hook. But it's primarily because they're not prospecting. They're phoning out to find out if somebody wants to move. Prospecting is about making connections, building relationships.
Yeah.
Romans, I don't know, I can't remember, Simon, if we shared this with you when we built the Reapit platform to work with us at the call center, but my mantra was always, you're better off speaking to 100 people that you know well 10 times a year to get the business and secure it down than you are 1,000 people once for the first time and never ever going any further with that relationship. So
I'm really, Ian, I'm actually, again, just a bit pissed off there, as if I didn't nick that and reuse that story a million times over. As much as you nailed my hat on with that Romans deal, I got my money's worth out of all those tales you just highlighted there. So yeah, Romans Direct still is obviously is a really powerful engine, isn't it, in that business, and indeed is in that kind of client services department is incredibly powerful in many businesses.
And I think that's why, people that can't afford that, I mean, let's be honest, that's the domain of big business with big turnovers. That's why they should be speaking to Steve through Agency Mentors to get them, because you can do it as an individual, or you can build a center. I mean, okay, there are very different ends of that scale, but of course, in a center, it's easy to manage people doing it properly because they're there with one function, and they haven't got to worry about viewings and all the other stuff. But I think an agent that doesn't prospect either has a massive skill for marketing, or spends an awful lot of marketing, or is going bankrupt.
Yeah, it's a good point. Stephen, anything else to add on that?
I think people are just chasing, they just think, oh, I've sold the property, that's it. Okay, they don't look at the long-term value. They don't look at the lifetime value of that client as well. So for me, in spot on, it is about maintaining that relationship. It's trying to progress the customer from one place to another. So let me ask you a quick question, Simon. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. How's your living space at the moment?
Crowded.
Yeah, it looks a bit crowded. So what would make it better for you if you could get your ideal property now?
Dripper. What would make it ideal? I'd like an extra bedroom.
Brilliant. Okay, so if I was to find you that extra bedroom within your budget, would you consider moving today?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. There you go. There's my first instruction. It wasn't hard, was
Right,
it?
good. Just one more instruction to pay for this. That I think I heard that coming towards me. Yeah, okay, that's
No,
absolutely.
I wasn't going to say that, but it just demonstrates, that's a
Yeah,
really simple question, non-salesy,
yeah.
and I've opened the door. And what I'm
And
finding
clearly,
now is,
and Stephen, sorry, just there, it's not over. I don't mean this. I'm not being rude here, but it's not like clever scripts to catch people out, is it? It is literally just best practice, kind of open questions to get the right answers, isn't it?
yeah, look, I just want to help you, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'm coming from a position of help. And what's been really interesting, I've had this conversation with quite a few people that have been in their properties for the last year. They're already happy to move because they've realised they do need that extra bedroom, they do
yeah.
need that garden, they do need better broadband. They hate their partner, they're getting divorced, whatever it is.
Mm.
So it's just it just opens the door. It's a simple question. It costs you nothing. And they're the sort of questions that you get if you were to come or when you come on our training sessions.
Because, and what was interesting as well, you're saying there, at the right at the outset, you said people just think it's the I've done the sale now and move on. Ian, did you ever meet Mark McLeod from Ray White when you were over in Australia? I know you've been a frequent traveller over there. He's fascinating. Like, he's one of those classic, and I was going to say a bolshy Australian, but that kind of sets the bar, doesn't it? And he did a lot of these kind of thoughts of the day. And one of them that I just found was so challenging was that out to estate agents was, imagine if you only got paid your fee on the next time you listed a property, how that would change your behaviors in it. And I think that for me was like a real epiphany in terms of how you do it. Because you're quite right. The Aussies for a long time have been claiming they're the prospecting kings. And of course, is that the reason they're willing to put in the hours. And again, Ian, you definitely met James Tosterman when you were at Marshall White. He was doing, until Alexander Phillips kind of stepped up. He was number one Australian and has been for like the best part of 2 decades. And the reason why he was making calls, he kindly let us and Richard Polfman and Nathan Emerson sit in all of those sessions. And again, I was sat there ready to steal all his lines, take it back, anglicise it, and everything else. And there wasn't any of that. It was conversational. It was just in there. And he made the point that he had been speaking to some of these people for 2 decades. And, some of those had not yet moved. Obviously, they might have referred on other friends and family. But here was the big difference about why theirs. Because obviously the Australian model was about the individual, and it was about, obviously, he didn't mind putting those calls in because he would still benefit in the years ahead whenever it happened. And obviously, with people here with churning businesses there, that's why this training is so important, isn't it? Is to keep ensuring that businesses are doing this. Otherwise, they'll just fall out of love.
Simon, let me ask you a question. Okay, if you're going on a market appraisal and you're going to win that instruction, and I think the average UK fee is about £3,000. So your perception as an estate agent is great. If I win this, I'm going to get £3,000 and my commission be whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you go in with a mindset that actually the lifetime value of that client is £70,000, would you treat that market appraisal very differently?
I treat them like they're a VIP, but then I do that with all our clients. Oh God, I felt a bit sick in my mouth then. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a game changer, isn't it? And that lifetime value of a client, not least on the letting side as well, is vital, isn't it? In terms of understanding the size of the prize, I suppose.
Yeah, so it's a question of, do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset? So the top performers are the ones who've got these growth mindsets. The top performers are the ones that are consistently going to prospect. The top performers realize that what happens in the next 30 days is going to affect the next 60 to 90 days. And if they're not prospecting because they've sold everything, then there's going to be it's feast and famine. So
it is. And that's a very real, luckily, obviously, the market's been incredibly buoyant once it came back. And many agents found themselves with furloughed staff and just being so busy that the classic, we're out on appointments, so the prospecting falls off. And then obviously the minute it gets quieter, it's like looking at each other. Well, where are the appointments coming from there? And that's a classic thing, isn't it?
I think another big factor to understanding why the requirement to repeat all types of training, whether it's prospecting fees, valuation skills, a lot of it is because the owners or the senior staff believe that training and development is for everybody but them. So they themselves don't necessarily learn the skills. So when these guys come back, quite often what will happen is we get a business owner say, right, can we do some training for us?
Yeah.
We'll ask if the leaders are going to be doing some of our leadership stuff, because I think that's quite important, because we prefer to get the leaders first, because if you can get access to the leaders first and then train down, if you don't and you just get the teams, often the leaders become a filter to what you've just trained. Well, no, we don't know that. That's not what we do here.
Yeah.
So you can actually get the things pulling apart. So I think invest in your leaders first and then work down through the skill sets, because often the problem is the leaders do not know how to hold people accountable to continue doing these things, or they don't know how to do them themselves. And if you're a leader or a weak leader, or not very good leader, or not very well trained leader, and you are being challenged by somebody that's doing something different, you just tend to poo-poo it. You just tend to squash it, and therefore,
that's right.
You have to then keep going around this cycle of train, get the results, train, get the results, which is fine, but it doesn't have to be like that, and shouldn't be like that.
So let's dig into a bit of detail then, guys, if we can do.
Can I just come back and say just one thing? Sorry.
Yeah,
so maybe one question I would ask now, if I'm going on an interview, would be, can I ask, are you a self-development company?
Yeah.
And if they go no, then actually, would I rather work for a self-development company or a know-it-all company?
Yeah.
A know-it-all company is going to be a company that's not going to grow. A self-development company is one that is going to fly. And I know where I know where I would prefer to work with.
And there's a real desire, isn't there? You are genuine. I understand entirely. You've got to get the mindset. And by the way, Stephen, you don't want to know what my mindset is on anything. But you've got to.
We saw earlier short socks. I mean, I'm disappointed you don't have pink shorts on and pink socks and pink trainers on. We've seen it all.
If I'm honest, Stephen, I'm just glad I was wearing trousers today. Ian, thank you very again. It's again, I don't know how you have enough hours in the day considering your various interests, but this one in particular, obviously, I'm passionate about training and development. You can get in at every price point you need to with Agency Mentors, so please do reach out.
Simon, because I probably didn't ask you questions. We've got stuff from £80 to £5,000, so we do fit every budget. And we've got stuff from one-off to ongoing over a year, so talk to us and we'll find out what's right. We'll provide you with the program and then you pick and choose what you think is right.
Perfect, Ian. That's absolutely fantastic. So thank you once more, and obviously catch up with you soon. Cheers, Ian.
Good man. Thank you very much. Cheers, Simon. Cheers. Thank you.